What's up, YouTube? Brad Hoover from Rants here. Alright, so as many of y'all probably have already done, if you're Marvel fans, gone out and went and saw Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now, it's made better than a lot of people have anticipated. And that's brought a lot of hatred and a lot of excitement from some of the stars, and a lot of hatred, like I said, from a lot of YouTubers who were predicting that this was going to be the next big flop. Now, to be fair, it's not exactly what you would call a success. It is the fifth lowest um, uh, box office success for Marvel. But that being said, I thought it was a decent film. I really did. I did a review here on Answer Us over this film. I thought the first act of it was great. I thought Simu Liu and Aquafina were really good together. I thought the comedy really hit the mark in a lot of ways. I thought maybe the second act kind of went to a crawl to a certain extent. And the third act maybe wasn't as impressive because it didn't really have the villain that it really needed to in that third act. We needed more of the Mandarin than what we got in that third act. Um, Overall, I enjoyed my experience when it come to Shang-Chi. Now, I made videos before that saying, well, you know what, just like the others, like Geeks and Gamers, Nerdrotic, and so forth, that was saying, hey, this is probably going to be a flop. And it probably isn't going to be a success, but it's not going to be as much of a flop as what was originally intended. For Simu Liu, as much as I thought he did good in this movie, him as a person is really starting to get on my nerves. And I know a lot of other Marvel fans. I think that's the one thing that a lot of these YouTubers that are really have a deep dislike for Marvel now. I think he represents basically everything that they hate about Marvel. He's so focused on race that he doesn't see beyond anything. He doesn't care if the story is good. He only cares about who is represented in the film. That is all Simu Liu is about. That seems to be all uh, that he cares about, whether in anything, whether it's his films or somebody else's films. That's all. That's his worldview. And look, he has the right to have that worldview. I don't hate him for that. But where I do kind of like find him a little unnerving, to be a little bit arrogant, is the fact that you can go up there and you can hype your film. You can get up there and you can say, you know what? Everyone is wrong. We're the underdog. Marvel was wrong about us. Yes, Marvel was already out there talking about the Eternals even before Shang-Chi come out, which led a lot of people to believe, okay, they've given up on Shang-Chi film. And you know what? Maybe that lit a fire under Simu Liu. Maybe that was something that he just couldn't get past. And he maybe took it out on the fans a little too much. But I kind of felt like him going on social media and going and mocking, sites like Geeks and Gamers, Heel versus Babyface, and Nerdrotic was a little bit, I don't know, childish to the extreme, especially for an actor. Look, if you want to be a big name Marvel actor, you've got to learn that, you know what, your movies are going to be criticized, whether they're loved or they're hated. Uh, that's just fandom in general. And so, you know what? I kind of feel like, okay, he's a little bit thin skinned. I don't know if this guy is probably the face that you want at the head of a major franchise. And I'm not saying Shang-Chi by any extent is going to be a major Marvel franchise. I don't think it will be. I think everybody keeps comparing it to Black Panther for some reason, and I'm like, why? Like, Black Panther had a protagonist that appealed to people on and off the screen. Um, Simu Liu isn't that guy. He's not the guy that you want out there marketing your stuff. He or your film. He is just not that guy. He's not. He doesn't seem that likable in person. In the film, I thought he did a decent job. Like, everybody, I mean, probably my biggest criticism with other YouTubers here on Rants or I mean here on YouTube, and that I've called out on Rants or Us, is I feel like there is this negativity thing that goes on when it comes to YouTubers. They don't like Marvel because they feel like Marvel's going too woke. They don't like Star Wars because they feel like it's going too woke. And they have every right to call Marvel, DC, Star Wars out for, yes, going a little too woke, and putting that above, the plot, the story, and the characters. But that being said, you got to take the good with the bad. You got to admit that, hey, you know what? Not everything Marvel does is going to be terrible. The What If series, you know what? They've turned that around. I think that's a pretty good series that Marvel's got going. I complained about the first two episodes, but since then, it's been a really interesting series. And then, of course, yes, they flopped on Black Widow, but Black Widow was going to flop anyways. Black Widow was about 5 years too late for anyone to care about. Phase 4 isn't going the way Marvel had anticipated, but that doesn't mean that Marvel's not going to be a success. And it's not because necessarily Marvel is going too woke. It's just they threw it all out with Thanos, and now they're trying to recollect themselves and trying to find that next big baddie that is going to entice fans to go see their collection of movies. They haven't found that yet, and that's been their biggest problem. But like I was saying, I feel like a lot of YouTubers got butthurt. And I say that in a negative and positive way. When it comes to Star Wars, when it comes to Marvel, I feel like they will not accept anything that's good from any of it. That they've just completely and totally given up on all the franchise. They won't give it its credit when it is due. And I'm talking about a lot of major YouTubers that I personally love and watch daily. And it just feels like they won't give something just this credit. If something is good, I will get on here and I will tell y'all, hey, this is good. Even if I bashed it for weeks or months on end, like I kind of did Shang-Chi. I got on here with a review and I said, you know what? This film was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Not to say that I want a sequel of it. We'll probably get a sequel. But that being said, I will admit when I'm wrong on that. I just wish a lot of YouTubers would do that as well. But I understand why they don't to a certain extent, because then you got pricks like Simu Liu coming out there and saying things like, oh, these people, they told me that it was going to be a disaster, and now look at it, just laughing in their face. Look, when you're just an ordinary person, an ordinary YouTuber, and you get on here and you look at these multi-millionaires sitting there being like, you know what, I gave my opinion about your upcoming movie, and because I was a little bit off, you made millions off of this movie, and you feel like you got to go on there and take down the little man, basically. It feels beyond childish on the actor's part to do it. The best ones don't do that. They just don't do that. And that's what makes their movies sell. Whenever you start attacking the fans, whether they be YouTubers or whatever, you are going to get drawback from your movies. People aren't going to go see them. People aren't going to review them right. Like I feel like some YouTubers have done with Shang-Chi. I feel like take instance of, I don't know how many times these last few days I've heard, well, Shang-Chi took a back seat to his sister. And I'm like, what are you talking about? His sister was barely in it. She had like one or two good scenes in it, and that was it. Shang-Chi was the clear star of it. There's no way, if you were given an honest opinion, that you would look and say, you know what, his sister was the leading role. No, by far it was the polar opposite of that. Shang-Chi was the major man in this film. There was no wokeness that took over in this film. This was a pretty clear-cut, generic film. that went through the generic ways that every other action film goes, not just Marvel films. So I kind of felt like, you know what, that is that isn't honesty from the reviewers. But how can you expect honesty from the reviewers when they're being out there being bashed and taking things personal from the actors and actresses who are playing these roles? It becomes a personal review. With me, I don't have any skin in the game. You know, even if someone called me out for it, I don't care if they call me out for it. But a lot of these big name YouTubers actually do, and that makes them create negative reviews. Therefore, all of the people that haven't seen it yet are going to be like, "Whoa, this guy said this movie was woke, and then it was crap, and it was garbage, and why waste my money to go see it?" There's a lot of followers out there that will be that way. So, Simu Liu, if I was you, and if I was Marvel, I would put a clamp down on attacking fans. You can get out there and you can say, hey, the critics were wrong, so forth like that, but you can't be going out there and making memes attacking the ordinary person. You just can't do that. It's not good for business. It's not good for Marvel. I think Marvel eventually will realize, hey, you know what? That's not going to be how we want to go forward. I feel like there was a mistake on Simu Liu's part. I feel like that's a mistake on Marvel's part. And Marvel doesn't stop this, they're going to get a huge fan backlash, kind of like, to the extent of Star Wars. But anyways, guys, let me know what y'all think. Let me know if you feel like some of these YouTubers are giving their honest opinions when it comes to these reviews. I feel like, one that I thought gave a really good review over it was Angry Joe. I kind of felt like they did a really good review over it. But most of these others that I've seen just have been just vitriolic in a lot of ways, and really not in. I'm not saying you got to be positive. If you didn't like the movie, you didn't like the movie. I didn't think it was a great movie. I didn't think it was a bad movie. And I said it, and I feel like anybody that is just getting out there and saying, you know what, Simu Liu took a back seat in that movie. I'm like, there's no way you could have possibly seen that in that movie, especially when it come to his sister. Aquafina, maybe you could have said that with, but you couldn't have said that with Shang-Chi's sister in that movie. Just not honest. But anyways, like I said, what do you think about the YouTubers doing that? What do you think about Simu Liu actually attacking fans? I personally think that's kind of a dick move. I think he's going to pay for it at the box office. I really do. I think Marvel is too. They don't want to end up in a Star Wars situation like with Kathleen Kennedy and so forth. You don't want people knowing the names of these big name actors or the people behind the scenes, because when that starts happening, then people just aren't going to tune into those movies. It's just not going to happen. They're going to, just for spite alone. Hate isn't always a good thing. There is, when you can get too much hatred in a fan base, you can get it to the point where it is toxic, and no one will go see the film, and no one will want to be a part of that fan base. I've seen it too many times over this last year of doing Rants or Us. Fan bases do actually become toxic. And I'm not saying that like Hollywood says it. I'm saying it just in a negative. They get attacked by the stars, Hollywood itself, and then they start attacking anything and everything positive about that. That's not where you want to be, Shang-Chi. That's not where you want to be, Simu Liu. That's not where you want to be, Marvel. But anyways, guys, let me know what y'all think down below. And as always, thanks for watching, and y'all take care.